Today we're going to be discussing momentum and the importance of awareness. This follows on really well from the other day's video that I did about negative thoughts and what is draining us right now. Momentum is a choice that we have in this now moment which determines which direction we're going to go down or up. We're either going to spiral down or we're going to spiral up. A good analogy of this is when you park a car at the top of a mountain. If you were to stand just a few yards away from that car, and someone was to take the handbrake off and the car was to start gathering momentum, you'd be able to catch it because you'd be so close, and you'd be able to hold the car and you'd be able to stop the car from going off the cliff. But if you stand at the bottom of the cliff and someone lets the handbrake off, you see where I'm going with this. We can't stop the momentum. It's the cars, it's already in flight. It's coming down at us. Okay, so this is like, just making this a little bit jovial. We're obviously still alive. We're obviously still breathing. We're okay. It's a furious analogy, like metaphor of like thought processes and momentum and catching ourselves in whichever way we're going and being able to determine where we are going. Intertwined with this is a really interesting principle from physics, which intertwines with that analogy of the car. We have a 17-second window to catch where we're at, because at the end of that 17 seconds will determine what we attract more of. If we don't catch ourselves, and you've got to remember as well, like a big part of our life and journey is from an unconscious level. And the healing journey really is a big part of becoming less unconscious and more conscious. And this is a really big factor of this when it comes to our journey of awareness. The sharpened sense of awareness, which can catch ourselves within that 17-second window, so we can then determine more so where we're going to go next. This is why we have spiritual practices. We have things like breath work, meditation, and it can be movement, it can be going into nature, it can be anything which works for you. And essentially that's what the intention of that is, to help with our momentum. So when we catch ourselves going into that spiral, we can choose something that which will help then shift our level of attraction, because that's really such a big part of it. We are determining our level of attraction of what we're attracting in next by what we are choosing in this now moment. And we can all relate to that power of being pulled into negative momentum. You know, when it feels like it's got an energy of itself and it just keeps going and going. You've got a mind full of negative thoughts, beliefs, and negative patterns. And this isn't to shame any of this. It's okay and natural, totally natural, to get lost in negative thoughts due to the power of the momentum that it comes with. And the difference between negative and positive, whether we're going down or whether we're ascending up, there appears to be this different quality that unfolds within us. And when we get into negative momentum, it feels like a ferocious, almost like uncontrollable force within us, which is just pulling us into the abyss. And just to repeat what I said about there is no shame here. It's totally okay and natural to get lost in negative thought patterns and thought processes. I speak often about our past and how it's influencing the now. Someone commented the other day about we could go a little bit further than that, about what, like these almost like karmic windows, these karmic influences, these previous life patterns that are going on right now. And there's multitudinous of influences within this now moment when it comes to our momentum. Are we momentuming down? I've just made that word up. Or are we momentuming up? Are we descending down or are we ascending up? That's why it's so cool that we have these tools and techniques now that help us with this momentum. And when it comes to actual meditation practices, being able to sit and observe the mind, that's why meditation is really cool. And I find breath work and meditation to be very congruent and harmonized with one another. They go very well together because we stimulate and change our chemistry and physiology from a breathwork practice. And then with that practice, it clears space and it changes that chemistry into one that's more congruent with sitting and observing the mind. Because if we don't do that subtle shift of change of chemistry prior to meditation, we can sometimes end up being more frustrated when we go into a meditation practice. And sometimes it can be the determining factor. We can go into meditation and we could actually spiral down. We could descend further due to this landscape that's going on within us. So that's what I've personally found with myself and the clients that I facilitate, that they go really well together. Breathwork shifts your state prior to meditation, and then it helps enrich and deepen your meditation practice to get you into a position where you can actually sit and you can observe the mind and you can be aware of that 17-second window. You can just observe what thoughts are coming in. We can refine our awareness. So we become quicker. Because there's a gradient process of change and development within the journey. I remember years ago, I struggled with ADHD, attention deficit disorder. I can't tell you how crazy my mind has been. I cannot tell you how chaotic my mind has been. It is a miracle that I can sit for 30 to 45 minutes in meditation. It is a miracle. And if I've just observed from my own journey, it is just that gradient process of sharpening our capacity to be able to observe that 17-second window. Sometimes it may take 20 minutes to catch ourselves. Sometimes we might unconsciously spiral into a negative spiral down, a negative descent. And that's okay. And what's really important to frame this as well, like there's so much to learn when we do go down into a negative descent. It's really important that we don't shame and label that as bad. Because once we do that, we start to increase frustration, anger, discord, and we start to label it as bad. We start thinking this shouldn't be happening right now. I need to be thinking a certain way. That in itself creates more and more resistance, and in turn creates more and more momentum to descend further down. So with this sharpened awareness, or this encouragement to nurture the awareness to be able to catch our thoughts when we have descended or we are just about to. So with this, it's so important that we nurture our capacity for self-compassion and self-forgiveness. Because with those qualities, it helps us neutralize and change our momentum. With forgiveness and compassion, we melt and dissolve that resistance that we could be potentially adding on with our frustration and annoyance and our shame of like, this is not how it's meant to be. And when we detach ourselves almost from being human, bear with me a second, when we detach ourselves and look from a more objective viewpoint of this is essentially having negative thoughts and negative thought patterns are just part of the human experience and makeup. They are what we would say came from that oldest part of ourselves, that animal brain aspect of ourselves. And the other influential factors which develop this negative spiral and this negative momentum. And with this forgiveness and compassion, we shift and change, and we move into and shift more quickly into positive momentum. It's such a beautiful journey of discovery and realization. And this journey of sharpening our awareness is progressive. It's all part of this human experience. It's all part of your spiritual growth and development. And it's, to a certain degree, just happening automatically. Like there's a certain aspect of consciousness, or all aspects, should I say, is just, it's autonomous. There's an autonomous quality going on here. So the more we come into a state of compassion, allowing, forgiveness, it helps and nurtures that process. So wherever you are now in your journey, no matter whether you're gathering negative momentum, it's okay. If anything, be open to it. Be like, wow, okay, this is what's happening now. It's great. It's cool. Laughter and humor help, like 100%. If you can just at any point within a negative spiral, just bring in a little glimmer of humor into it, as challenges as that may feel, with a little bit of divine intervention, calling in your guides and your helpers, just to deploy a little bit of humor into it, that can be a massive help as well. But wherever you are at the minute, there is this undertone of like perfection, of you finding your way. And I've spent weeks in negative loops and patterns and yada yada, but that process taught me so much. I got so much from it. You actually sometimes find you actually learn way more from those negative spirals and loops. They're there to teach you so much. In black and white, they're there to teach us what we really don't want. And because they've been the prevailing force for eons of time, they just seem so overwhelming and overpowering. But now we have this opportunity of dipping our toe more so into the spiritual paradigm of what we could say is a positive spiral and ascent going up. We've experienced that less from what I've seen and observed in myself, what I observe and see in the collective, and my surrounding environment. That prevailing, say negative spirals down seem to be more prevalent and common. That's why that we're finding it harder to break free from. So, repeating again, compassion, acceptance, forgiveness, really, really important qualities when it comes to this momentum process. And of course, your meditation and your breath work and your connecting with nature and your movement and anything that you feel, whatever you feel aligned and called to in this moment to help realign your momentum. Let your intuition and your guides guide you to what is most aligned for you right now in this now moment. Sending you so much love, my friends. I've loved breaking down today's video, and these thoughts and perspectives on this are very much all, when I'm doing a video, I'm very often partly reflecting on my own journey. I've just shared a little bit as well, and comes from a deep space of love for you. I'm so proud of you with where you are and with what you're doing. And you know what? I already can't wait to see you in the next video.